Why are senses sad? Pity them, it's true. They are sad because they feel nothing, and see nothing when it comes to the great love of the afterlife. The older they get, the weaker they feel anything. How sad it is, after all. But it must be so, until the fruits of our ancient actions fall, and are transformed into flavors from heaven. You want to have joy, to fly somewhere high, then surrender your soul to the narration of fairy tale. Your fairy tales are the most beautiful, straight from heaven. In life on the planets, in the reality of quantum mechanics, or just Einstein's theory, your fairy tales will actually never come out, never come to fruition, because scientific theories have been falsifying matter from the beginning of the world and reinforcing it with lies against subtlety and love. But that's okay, because joy comes from the intangible and invisible with the eyes. Therefore, dreams are real always in your greatest strength and power, imagination, from where visions and daily feelings are drawn. Higher meditations and ordinary sense you will hear, and now this is the most wonderful reality of your vision. Your momentary subtle delight, the acquisition of secret knowledge, this is mysticism to the measure of eternal existence. Earth is a reflection, a shadow of heaven. Life here is entangled in the problems of law, artificial conscience, rules, and very weak, second heavenly sex. It is worth noting that the soul is primarily a generous, non-egoistic imagination and will. Whoever tastes it, will quickly find eternal heaven, but beyond matter, in the matter of heavenly energy. Justification is a manifestation of tolerance, of which the friendliest is always love. Tolerance respects freedom. It is the highest form of love on earth, for which one gives own life, such as a mother for her children. Even the bad ones, publicans and harlots, will overtake you into the kingdom of heaven. Poor Jesus, what a blow he must have received for those words. God hid behind kindness and mercy, behind giving himself to us without limit. Love on earth is not just joy. Complete joy is a distant future. The light of the world is imperceptible. It shines effectively, but no one hardly sees it. It is hidden in love and mercy. Saint Sister Faustina Kowalska understood this well. Good friend, a good friend is like a rock you can lean on confidently. It's hard not to think about him, it's hard not to trust him. In him there is a knot of heart and good advice. By his side are the scents of roses, and his strong belt surrounds you too. By him all your buds will bloom. A good friend is your peace. Fragrant oil stretched over your body. He knows everything to be gentle and tender. He is your night, and his nectars intoxicate your soul. In his presence you forget all that has gone wrong. He is your chalice of wine, and under your feet he spreads flowers abundantly. He is your servant and master. You will trust no one as much as you trust him. He is simple, and his ways always lead the paths of truth and love. He is your happiness, and therefore your days pass very pleasantly. Our souls certainly, and partly our present bodies, were made in the image, likeness and pattern of God. We are almost the same as he is as far as souls are concerned. But such was the tinkering he did with us, so that we can just feel it, that we are free deities. God is we, it is said. But this is at the same time very dangerous. Because thanks to this feeling, evil and suffering were created as a consequence. Only humility can keep this feeling that we are sparks of God, otherwise it gives birth to privation, galaxies, suffering, hell in these galaxies. To call oneself God is a terrible risk. You have to be careful about that, and very careful. About the perfect God, we always have the best possible opinion and image. At the creation of this world, he was probably a lousy God, inept. For how could he arrange such a terrible hell for us, where one attacks and even murders another? Youth is madness and irresponsibility, and old age is infirmity, pain and resignation. Are these the kinds of things the good Father would give us? We know in our hearts that no creative acts of foolish creation, there could have been more. Arguably, this is the case. We belong to the circle of one of many cosmic odysseys. For our consciousness, such material or semi-material worlds could be infinite. I emphasize, for our consciousness, because for God Almighty, omniscient, all universes created, are limited. Because they do not come from Him. There is nothing to look for other cosmic stories, because we completely lack access to them. For us, the story in which we actively participate must suffice. And we still know very little about the history of our galaxy or our Earth. Scraps literally. However, it is necessary to make an attempt at answers, otherwise we will learn nothing. If we do not undertake spiritual development, i.e., learning the truth, we will have a problem getting out of this tragic cosmos to the eternal land of the true, loving God Mother Lover, to the world of the wonderful society of beautiful beings, from our fairy tales. As one looks at even the Milky Way, which is churning with fire, dust, radiation and explosions of crashing suns and planets, it may be similar in the higher, invisible realms. This is what even St. Paul once said about it. How he came to this conclusion, I don't know. But he stated, all have sinned. He used the word sinned, but I wouldn't apply it anymore. For those times, maybe it was acerbic. I believe that freedom and then the lack of a constant source of power, after the departure of the angels from heaven, caused the degeneration of atomic and subtler systems, affecting even the soul. The soul suffered a flaw, Padre Pio's words. And there is a cosmic and personal effect of this. Beautiful is the world. Is there no us? There is no world? And there are many worlds. They can delight and penetrate each other, caress each other with a gentle smile and something else incomprehensible, but that's not all. There are worlds far more beautiful than the one we live in. These are the ones to strive for. My nature, how do I know that the nature of my eternal bliss and knowledge? How do I know that eternity shines through me like the stars in the night? I heard the rumble of avalanches and the crush of suffering, but I understood that the wisest is love, beauty and knowledge. How do I know that? Looking at this world and people of ours, I see the things of God even though they are not original, since they were created by God's children. But I try to spiritualize and glorify them for the greater common good. Although I criticize evil and collapse, I immediately talk about the philosophy of love, and try to tip the scales to the side of good. Nevertheless, this is a divine world, even a hellish one, because it is inspired by God's children, and therefore by God's love for His children. I know for sure that one day, through the promotion of goodness and love, everyone will return to their true home, the palace. And on earth, the promotion of goodness will also reap its wonderful harvest. Because that's what everyone is really after, goodness, prosperity, peace and love, following the heavenly pattern. Therefore, for the time being, it is necessary to talk about everything, about peace, about wars, about threats, about media, about politics, about everything. Talking means seeking and showing. And this leads to revealing the greatest truths for humanity. Beings from the higher realms, angels lost in their cunning, will hopefully regain their former luster and splendor. Being once beautiful angels, and they, too, at the present stage of their finite existence, also have their needs. The expression of these needs is also shared by all humans, without exception. We have a close relationship with them, for they are our present genetic, physical life. We are, in a way, their blueprint of humanity. If we understand this, we will overcome cognition. The whole cosmos expects this, the souls of thinkers using logic, and mysticism beyond logic. In this way we can go beyond them and free ourselves from the bonds of life manipulation, and gain the fullness without any limitations, the basis of which is unconditional, infinite love. The scheme is quite simple and standard for everyone. Each time our consciousness is taken from us when we descend to earth as a soul. A person is born and actually does not know where he comes from or where he is going. He starts as if from nothing. He has to learn everything and get to know everything. So let's ask the fundamental question, why is this so? Isn't this some kind of hopeless situation? Bar catastrophe. If the magnificent, overprivileged God created us, why did he make us completely illiterate from the moment of conception? Somehow I don't believe it. Logic dictates that this is not normal. The Blessed One, the one God, is too wonderful to mess us up like this. Something must have happened to make life incredibly complicated, and on every level. The very fact that we rise from dust and turn into dust. This is some kind of paranoia. Between birth and death, unbelievably unpleasant things happen. Even thinking makes it difficult for us. Let alone say something clever. Everyone knows this, because they experience it on themselves. Goodness and love, light and joy are rather scarce here. I am of the opinion that it is worth exposing this. To expose the defects that someone has wrought on us in this earthly life. Because clearly, someone is hiding something here. The answer is clear, it was not the perfect God who created this world and the man in it, but someone else, but similar to him. O heavenly world princess of my heart, what butterflies fly in my head, how many wandering lands I carry for you, were you, my beloved, with your splendor overshadowed all this world's wonders. For what good are they to me as I look at the inconceivable beauty, which blinds my sight and softens my heart? So that you are most beautiful to me, my heaven in the lands of eternal delights. Sometimes it's like this, the more you suffer the more you feel. And the more you love the more you understand others. But this applies to the cosmos. Outside it is quite different. More optimistic, without the lessons and experiences of fate. For a physicist there is no physicist, for a chemist there is no chemist, for a mystic there is no mystic. There is life based on love and life through love. Without love and the knowledge that lives in it, life does not arise. As we know, history on this planet is quite intricate, and due to the distant time also mysterious. Mother Earth has carried many nations, cultures and civilizations. Various strange things have played out here. I am also convinced that there were civilizations much higher than ours. But the trace of them has disappeared. This is what Padre Pio told me about. Perhaps someday it will be confirmed with great accuracy, but I somewhat doubt it, because it was a very long time ago. I do not have the artifacts in my hand, but I know about it, thanks to logic and intuition. Some, moreover, also talk about it. And if you approach the subject from another side, for example, from the side of the wandering of souls, we can easily deduce that since we have lived many times, in many civilizations, some echo remains in us each time. Hence we feel that this is possible. Every person carries some sort of baggage of experience from previous lives. Although one is not always aware of it. Love does not envy, does not seek applause, etc. is for everyone. Yes, you can be with one person if you love, but your heart should be given to every person. And this is the essence of love. Everything can be beautiful even with two people, but they must feel love for everyone equally. I'm not saying it's easy, here on earth. Many things can get complicated because of this. I will say this, you need to be divine madmen together. And then it is wonderful in every way. Earth is a temporary, and imperfect state. In the heavenly world, love is universal and belongs to everyone, without attachments, as on earth. Sometimes it's like this. If someone senses that you outgrow him with your field of vision and reading of reality, although you don't feel it that way yourself, but out of a good heart you do, he turns away from you. But for what reason? Instead of being happy that someone knows more and gives something fantastic for the common good. It's the ego, as usual, that turns the mill to power. You've got a broken pen, but the crosshair somehow scribbled 2 dashes, and so intriguing. Help, God, my rebellion to be even positively greater. You catch the mouse, and you are satisfied with what? You have to catch God, if you want to be like him, and then everything will be yours, and the mouse, and this, and that. God, why is everyone afraid, and people and animals? Why is it so? Could it be lack of happiness? Underdevelopment? Lack of knowledge? Disease? Death? Who came up with this incomplete nature that haunts us? You, Lord? I don't believe it. Someone else must have been to blame. You are too good, God. Turn the world upside down, and you'll bring harmony closer to. You made me, so I am then now show me your humility. Because in me so much pride still. You become wise only when you have grasped the irrationality of the world, the incalculability of movement, when you have understood emptiness and fulfillment, and your reason not knowing. In a word, you are smart because God messed up your head, hence you see this world as it is through the mistake of creation. I think because I am stupid. If I were smart, I wouldn't think with anxiety, but would know from happiness. Let's try to unlock love after all, so that we can learn about true knowledge, delight, God and his fantastic, endless, fairy tale world of forms. And, by the way, our own cosmic, in the fallen galaxies, world, which is not as fairy tale as we would like it to be. What matters above all is love. One cannot be good without love. Even selfishness is some form of love, perhaps imperfect, but it is there. Love is desire, science, wisdom, in this world, and creative urge. Even staunch opponents of divine love use it, completely unaware of it. Freedom, too, is an expression of divine love. Atheism likewise. Beliefs. Views are views, reason is reason, imperfection is imperfection. The ideal exists in the realm of the ideal and should be pursued. Whether one is an opponent or a supporter. Even the very desire to live, is a ray of the ideal. Either way, each of us knows exactly whether we are doing right or wrong, whether we are honest, upright or a delicious rebel based on the will of the opposition. The fact is that the lack of ideals and virtues in life, gives rise to unjust rebellion and opposition to everything we do not understand, or do not feel in our own way. But is this wisdom? Or is it just freedom? This must be understood, otherwise we will be in opposition to other outlooks, other pictures painted by life than our personal one. Conflict can arise very quickly. The true wisdom of love overcomes all science, and any psychology of being. In this regard, most problems are with politics, views, religions, sects and scientists, who fight in the pages of publications for their truths. Science continues to be debunked anyway by science. Few people know that 2 + 2 is not 4 at all. We still live in the infancy of science and mysticism. Life is not just about freedom, but about its healthy fruits. They should be positive and good. But this is not the case at all. Mistakes, unpredictability, various problems, indispositions, lack of money, or an excess of money, free speech without the craftsmanship of culture, art without the passion of beauty and tact can cause a negative revolution in life, in the family, in the state system, eventually leading to a war conflict. The leftist, atheist world has a lot of such qualities that transcend the gift of freedom. Unfortunately, religions also have this tendency. It is not true that we are not in the same boat. We all sit at the bottom of the same cosmic bag, and saints in this life, and non-saints, people without talents and artists with talents as one. mixed with confusion in full swing on a daily basis. This is nothing unusual, the cosmic standard, at every level of existence. We only try to isolate ourselves with education and posturing, a mask of ego nature. You want to like God, try to be above it all. The world above this world heals our delight, our secret fairy tales and colorful, heavenly pleasures of existence. Everyone needs to control themselves, so that they don't clench their fists of freedom and hatred. Yet apparently it still has to be so. The next incarnations of leftist angels will have already stopped insulting their, and their neighbors, dignity. This may take several lifetimes. After time, all cosmic angels, including the primate, will recognize the eternal heaven, and there they will eventually find themselves. Padre Pio told me so, that everyone will enter heaven. God is constantly striving for this. Freedom is nothing in the face of good except that freedom is also a good, but not everything that is allowed brings benefit. There are also those who call evil a good, and here is the problem. For one, something may be a sin, for another the same thing with a different characterization, etc. No longer. Therefore, love, which is forgiving and tolerant, should unite everyone regardless of characters and acquired knowledge, views. Then there is no need to make theaters of hatred, acting humiliation. Be normal and a little positively crazy, then no one will be threatened by anything. Jesus grieved and suffered, primarily because of the words of others. He had to flee at times to avoid being beaten. What were those words? Well, the same as today: painful, radical, unmerciful. Here you comfort me, Lord, and here you make me cry at the same time. If you love, you should find excuses for all, including your own failings, if only, not understanding others, their various fears and sufferings. Everyone wants to pretend that they are beautiful and wonderful, and in the meantime, unfortunately, he is beautiful. But temporarily in this life, his robes are soiled. Anyone who has incarnated here will have various problems, and at certain times will let go of his nerves. Calls for perfection of the psyche, calls for the virtue of patience. This is what they testify to. The more you pretend to be holy and exemplary, the more you will sink into pride in yourself, and you will begin to reek of pride at a distance. For every memory, you can recreate heaven for yourself, at least for the duration of that sigh. On earth it may be like heaven to you, but only in memories. Where there are screams and wars, heaven flees, because it is not its climate. To wish everyone well, this is work of the highest kind. It doesn't get any higher than being friendly, kind. So there is no reason to worry and stress about being unnecessary. You don't understand what I understand, and that's why we don't understand each other, and it could have been so close. Nothing matters whether one understands or not, feels or not, everything counts before God. You don't have knowledge, and God has it. Even your mysticism is nothing before God. He will always love more than you, and he will always know everything, while you don't. Even the angels in heaven do not know everything. Padre Pio's words.